Okay, so now the question in a given moment is how to process a given moment. So when we think about how to process harm, how do you process benefit, right? Those are the hard questions. But the main reason I want to put this in your minds is so that in a given moment, when you're hurt, angry, confused, afraid, and you're contemplating an action, to say to yourself, well, wait a minute, what is my duty? That reframes the world for you. Now, I'm not saying it answers the question. What I'm saying is it reframes the world. Now, remember, we are a tradition of mitzvot, of commandments. And so in a tradition of mitzvot, even if you're not Orthodox, let's say you don't keep the ritual commandments, at least we understand that in any situation where something counts, there probably is a duty to be fulfilled. If there's any moment, there's a significant moment, where what you do next counts, there probably is a duty. You won't see it when you start asking, well, what did they do? Or look how bad I feel. Or I'm so angry, right? You'll just get the wrong answer, at least from a spiritual perspective. Notice this question is not, what are my rights? Now remember, now I'm just saying that many people say, what are my rights? I have rights. I said, that's true, you have political rights. Politically, we have rights. I think spiritually, we have rights from other people. The right to speak, meaning other people don't stop us. The right to practice religion, other people don't stop us. So we have rights against other people trying to interfere. What we have rights to is a complex question. Because anytime you have a right to something, you're requiring that other people behave in a certain way. Is that clear? Does anybody need an expansion on that? Okay. So you can all see why I don't have a natural right to an education. Can you all see why nobody has a natural right to an education? Anybody confused? Because someone else has to provide it. So if I have an absolute right, then we can put someone in forced servitude to educate me. So if someone says, well, I don't want to educate you. Now, can I force them? No. So absolute rights means the right to privacy, which means it's an absolute right that people don't do something to me. But I don't have an absolute right that they have to do something for me. Because it takes away their freedom. Okay? So the idea of rights, I think from a natural law perspective and the fundamental politics of liberalism are ultimately rights from. Meaning I talk how I want, I go where I want, I live undisturbed. It's right from. The right to something almost always involves somebody else has to do something or not do something. Not to you, but in general. So that's why I think we do have rights. In the language of moral philosophy, the right to something is typically called an entitlement, actually given by the state. So if the state says, we promise to entitle every person with a K through 12 education, then you have a right, because the citizens have together committed themselves. So when you think of a right to something, because a lot of times people get really upset about things. I have a right to this, or I have a right to that. I say, well, calm down and ask yourself. Rights are usually from. If you have a right to something, it means somebody else has agreed to grant it, and they're just withholding something that they've agreed to give you. And it also, when we stop thinking about our rights, not that we don't have them, but also think about what are our duties. For example, we have the right to free speech. In general, we can say anything we want as long as it doesn't cause immediate danger, in general. But do we have a duty to speak in certain ways? See, from a Jewish perspective, and I think other spiritual traditions, absolutely. I have the right to say whatever I want, but in Jewish perspective, we have a set of laws dealing with Lashon Hara, destructive language. We are forbidden from saying certain things, especially things that are destructive. For example, now this is kind of strange, but the Talmud makes a big deal out of name-calling. They say there's 3 kinds of people who go to hell. Murderers, adulterers, and people who call people names. Murderers and adulterers do their time and come up. Name callers stay down. They say, well, why? They say, a crime of passion we get. Crimes of meanness, we don't want up in heaven. Right? If you're going to go around calling people names, you stay down in hell because that's what you create everywhere you go. Now, I think this line in the Talmud that says everybody does their time, name callers stay, the Talmud likes to teach in hyperbole. Because people say, well, I follow the Ten Commandments, I do my duties. Jewish tradition says, that's far from fulfilling all your duties. We have the duty, for example, to speak correctly in the laws of Lashon Hara. So there's an example. I have the right to speak, which means other people shouldn't be able to stop me from saying what I want to say. However, from a spiritual perspective, I have a duty to speak in a certain way, which means I can say some things and I can't say other things, or I have to say things in a certain way. Now, that's from a Jewish law perspective. I don't think anybody obeys it, but at least if you're going to call yourself a good Jew, realize there are a set of laws about how we speak, how we use words. So from this perspective, you think in a given moment where you really want to tell somebody off. And a person says, well, you shouldn't say that. And you say, well, I have the right to say whatever I want. That's not the correct answer from a duty perspective. Because from a duty perspective, you ought not say whatever you want. Okay? From a duty perspective. Yeah, you have the right to say it. You have a political right. But you have a duty not to say whatever you want. Okay? So then what do we say? For many, many years of counseling, I've tried to find the best way to put this. And the way I like to put it is, say something that will make things better.
Say shalom,